Okay. Whew. Last time I checked, well, I know it got down to at least 26 degrees last night. 27 degrees for sure. And the last thing I did before bed last night was cut a bunch of flowers because I knew they'd be mushy this morning. And they definitely are. You can see everything's kind of wilty. So let's see how the greenhouse did. Henry turned on the heater before bedtime, and then we'll see what sort of thing we're going to be dealing with today. I harvested everything that was ripe yesterday, and I cleaned up a little bit, but I didn't bother to clean up extensively because if it's gonna freeze, it's gonna freeze, and there's a limit to what we could do. So let's see. Currently 30 degrees outside. I can smell the propane in here. I don't know. Good question. It's dripping. When you run a heater, you get that drip. Let's see, are you still running? I would say that the, what you call it, the pilot light is still on, I think, but okay, well, it's not obvious right yet. Some things that I know that will turn to mush if they're frozen for real is the, doesn't feel like it's frozen, so we'll see. Okay, I'm going to zip back out of here. This is a bit smelly for my taste, but at least on casual observation we may have some burn on a couple of things, but especially things that were touching the plastic, but let's say in general we made it, at least for the first, because this plant was already looking rowdy before we started. So yeah, we'll see. Let's see. They're cold. I don't think they're frozen though. Okay. Oops. And I brought out my little thermometer guy. That's my remote thermometer. Because Henry brought him in, he wasn't properly linked. And I normally keep him under here. I know that's a weird place, but because I don't want him in the sun. So Don't want them in the sun, because that gives you a false reading big time. So we'll see. We'll see. I told Henry, I said, these canary yellows were pretty done yesterday. Some of these trusses have new fruit on them. I cut off most of the trusses that were done. See, like, there's a new fruit in there. You see that little dot in there? That's actually a fruit that's going to form. But there are trusses where, like on this one, you can see a lot of the trusses are mostly done, but that's a new fruit again. So, yeah, the little dot. So we'll see. We'll see. At least on first observation, it's definitely not terrible. Okay. Doody-doo-doo-doo. And yes, I'm wearing my fuzzy feet this morning. See, fuzzy feet. These are my new fuzzy feet that I got for my birthday. Yay, fuzzy feet. Yeah, we sort of scrambled around right at bedtime last night because, well, right before bedtime, but after dark, because it was just so busy yesterday. I didn't get everything done during the day. So I harvested a whole stack of marigolds and globe amaranth, and you can see the cosmos are now mushy, especially because out here they won't have any protection at all. But these guys, I harvested all the big flowers off of the globe amaranth, and I harvested a ton of dill because I knew that was going to get zapped. Most of the dill will probably turn to mush. So I also harvested a whole bunch of the petunias that were self-seeded over here, because I can see that dark color means they're going to turn to mush. And what else did I harvest? A couple of the Rudbeckia flowers, like I said, a bunch of marigolds. Yeah, because I knew that most of this would be mushy this morning. And see that it's definitely mushy leaves on the plants here. So what I need to do when it gets a little warmer, no reason to freeze ourselves to death this morning, is to get out here and harvest the potatoes. No, that's potatoes, sweet potatoes. This is potatoes, that's potatoes, sweet potatoes underneath there. Yeah, so these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, yeah, something like that. There's about 6 or 8 pots in here that need to be harvested, and the weeds need to be pulled out too. Easy. Even the weeds are kind of croaked. See the fruit that was big and fierce yesterday. So yeah, so there we are, our first real frost. We never even had a nibble of a frost before, and last night it went straight down to a freeze. So it was at least, let's see, 27. I'm going to check. I suspect it went down lower than that because it wasn't sunrise yet when I was at 27. So it's always coldest right before the sun comes up, or right as the sun comes up. So yeah, a quick tour. And
well, it's late afternoon, and looking at the foundation plantings, a lot of them were really bitten by frost. Well, really the freeze. Well, the potatoes and sweet potatoes have definitely seen better days. We'll have to harvest those over the next couple days. We don't want them to spoil. Whatever the harvest is, it'd be fun to eat. Now, surprisingly enough, not all of the dill was killed off last night. Some of this out here was killed by the freeze. Other smaller plants seem to have survived okay, but I don't think they'll survive tonight because it's going to be a couple degrees colder if the forecast is right. We have about an hour before sunset, which means we have about maybe 2 hours before the temperature really starts to drop. Once the sun goes down here, the temperatures drop really quickly. I'm going to go take a look at the cucumbers because that's probably about the most sensitive plant that we have in here. These plants are still okay. Well, they're a little bit worse for wear, but they're still surviving. A bunch of our tomatoes are really at their end of life because they're determinants. You can tell that the temperature didn't get down to freezing last night because this sweet potato plant is doing just fine. All in all, we're doing very well. I'm hoping that we have a little bit of a chance to change the plumbing up for the irrigation in the next couple of weeks. I think these tomatoes are about done. Yes, the heater's still running. It ran just fine last night, which is great news. So the repairs that I did to this heater have done the job. Now this is one of my favorite tomatoes right here. This is Amanda Orange. Well, it's favorite for tomato sandwiches. It might have been hit a bit hard by the freeze, but the fruits feel fine. Well, it looks like Irene's assessment this morning was pretty spot on. That's really good. Now, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell for notifications because we have a lot more stuff going on the homestead. You won't want to miss it. Hey, don't forget to brainstorm. We do. And the sun's in my eyes really bad.